Good afternoon on what is a mild grey and cloudy day. It is Friday the 12th of April and I'm in the reading nook with a nice hot cup of tea and a parcel to a box, quite nicely packaged. So let's get this open and find out. Oh, okay, it's going to tear along the top. And what I've got here is Terminal, digital pirate action, which is essentially the world as you know it is it's basically a cyberpunk role-playing game. Early 20th century Earth is nothing but a lie. In truth, it's a simulation called the Terminal, lie to keep the humanity under the control of the robot authority. In the wake, the real world, pirates trawl the seas and plug back into the simulation, inside the battle of the system's agents, and try to free other restless sleepers. This is digital pirate action. This is a digital pirate action role-playing game for 3 to 7 players, including a game master built on a focus system to tell exciting and epic stories of grave consequences. The players are members of a daring pirate crew. They will walk the path of omen, the latest in a cycle of reincarnations. Someone with extraordinary power and a sign that this iteration of the Terminal is close to collapse. Total system crash is coming. The crash could spell disaster and death for pirates, or an opportunity to claw back their autonomy, or shatter the nightmare, take back your life, crash the world. In this game, our swashbuckling, this is quite some back cover blurb. In this game, our swashbuckling cyberpunk misfit heroes sail the perilous seas, clash swords with killer robots, brawl with dangerous programs inside cyberspace, and face off the manipulative architects of the living nightmare that is the Terminal. The rules are simple and rely on characters' reputations. A pirate who is brash, troubled, righteous, will have a very different Terminal campaign to one that is considered loyal, inquisitive. There are 2 kinds of roles in Terminal. Challenges as you face adversity in the rising action, and showdowns when you face down your foes at the climax of an operation. In a challenge, you build a dice pool by answering questions about your reputations and the obstacles you face. In a showdown, you instead negotiate with the GM about what your character is prepared to lose in order to, in this conflict, gaining larger bonuses for a single climatic roll the more your character is able to sacrifice. The book features a strong GM section full of advice for running the game and structuring a campaign, and a thrilling setting guide with 6 major story arcs featuring dangerous threats that could all escalate to spell total disaster. So yeah, there's a list of the authors, and there's a bit of a back cover blurb there. So that's quite a detailed back cover blurb. And then this is very brightly kind of coloured, but it's actually done on matte stock, so it's not glossy. Table of contents. And this is from Ratwave Game House. And there's the credits page. And the introduction, how to play the game, in the game, content, themes and safety, of course, as you would expect from, what is a modern role-playing game. And here we describe the setting. It's very, very white on black. That's not always the best to read, but there's certain energy to it. And you have a bit of an explanation of what the wake is, how you survive in Libertatia, and the nature of the omen, and live on a guide to connect your hearts to push on forward to the climax, as it were. And here we get on to the rules. So basically that's talking about reputations and creating, so all about reputations, and then sort of like gaining showdown sorts of tokens, showdown tokens there, looking at things backwards, how to handle challenges and what their consequences might be, so challenges, consequences. And you've got this great sort of action-packed artwork. So, once you get into it, here's how to build the dice pool that you need. You're going to be rolling and we've got the roll and check the results of what happened, social consequences, and then we move on to the showdown with the big bad, with the boss of the terminal, and a discussion of the threats and the costs of them when you actually come to face them. And then we've actually got an example of play for challenges and showdowns. And as I've said before, I absolutely appreciate having a good example of play in a role-playing game, because as I keep saying, what the rules do is tell you how to play. What the example of play is show you how to play. It's what the authors and designers have in mind when they create the game. So this is how to create an omen, a player character, including abilities, so on. Things like bullet stop, from thin air, it's happening again, and others' memories, defying gravity. And then get to the point where you are finishing a crash, finishing an operation, and character development, including little deaths, which essentially really is, that's actually basically pete more, that's sort of reference to sort of like people when you sleep together. And then we actually move on to character creation. And here we have sort of a picture of the characters with their pirate ship. It's suspenser filled, sailing over the seas of freedom and liberty. And so you're creating a character, you create a name, what you did in your sleeping life, your role aboard as a member of the crew, and that includes whether it's captain, first mate, gunner, cook, boatswain, and helm. And then what do you look like when you're in the terminal? So you are literally playing almost sort of like two characters in one in the real world, one out. And then just sort of like, what's your outlook, what's your contacts are. There you've got the table of possible looks when you're in the terminal, but I mean, of course, you're not limited to those. And then we have some fully worked out examples of creation. And these are the final steps of character creation. The problem I kind of have is this white on black is a little bit difficult to read, but we also have a big list of reputations as options for your characters to take, or basically choices if you can't come up with your own. Section there on how to improvise character creation during play, and then ship creation. There we go, and we forward to crew connections, and now we have the ship complete with its able to deliver a broadside, and then GM section, how to run a campaign, some things to remember, threat is relative, this is a game about feeling crazy, about fighting against authority and abusive forces, about sacrificing things and burning down your life in pursuit of a better future. It's an action game. We don't get stuck down in the science or book in the explanations, just play, essentially. So this is how you sail the seas of reality, what life is like on Libertatia, and living by the pirate's code. And then we step into the terminal with its various domains. Essentially offering different theatres to conduct operations, and then we go straight into the first operation, startup operation, run Atlanta Run. So we're playing through all the way through, build up, suggested scenes, information challenge, face-off challenge, allies challenge, journey challenge. So you've got a list of these challenges before we have the showdown, and the aftermath. How to use crashes, and I mean those examples in that that first startup challenge are kind of you can you model your future your operations on those. Then we move on to the next. So you've got multiple operations in here, which, as a game master, you can run. Your players can role play through before you even get to want to create your own. So that's all nicely supported. Save warning. Encountering another crew. Following leads as part of the operation. And then once we've given plenty of examples of operation, we have devising operations, so advice for the game master on how to create operations of her own. We've got yet another operation, hidden operation, the past it takes the future. And we get on to the end game, I suppose, which is running the total system crash, which addresses sort of like what's the fate of the terminal. And the problem is choice. What do you do when you get there? Which is whether shut down the terminal, reboot the terminal, or let it crash, or how to get to the CPU. And then he talks about techno fables. It says they've got 7 techno fables. So these are short vignettes, short pieces of fiction. And again, you can use these in game, use them for inspiration. Let's look at enemies within the terminal and about the robot forces. And then we have an address the issue of on gender in programs, and then character glossary. An interesting to note about gender on programs: the programs of the terminal are locked into their appearances without outside intervention. Programs are used to have a say how they appeared, but this was gradually taken away. So that's one of the freedoms you're actually possibly fighting for if you want to reboot the terminal rather than bring it down. So then we said we've got sort of like glossary, looking at various Pirates of the Wake. Routine programs, obsolete programs. So you can go into the contemporary state of terminal, but you can also encounter obsolete ones. And then we have also the Robot Authority at the end there. And then a list of inspiration and influences, as well as the creative team. So the most obvious thing, and here you've got the final coda. So the most obvious thing is this is the nearest thing you're going to find to a Matrix style role-playing game. It's taken some of those elements, the idea of traveling the byways and tunnels of the network, as Neo and the crew do in the films, and then you have the Matrix itself, where they will have these amazing adventures, and here you have that in the terminal, as it were, using your reputations and so on. but instead of, their vessel sailing the sort of the tunnels and byways, they're sailing the seas, as it were. So yeah, nearest thing you get to a Matrix role-playing game. But interesting that I think it still stands on its own without being that. Anyway, that's Terminal Digital Pirate Action. If you enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a package containing a book or game or role-playing game, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. And we'll be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.